أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون. صدق الله العظيم. The Surah Al-Ma'un. There's other names for and communal responsibility. And as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that it doesn't behoove a believer. It's not possible that someone is believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, believes in the Day of Judgment, that he understands that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will resurrect him, that whilst I'm living in this world, I can't do anything and everything, whatever I want to do, right? That there is accountability to all of this, and still this person goes on not following the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Still that person doesn't help others. Still that person, as it comes in the next ayah, in the third ayah, the person does not feed. Fourth ayah, that this person still doesn't pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala connects aqeedah, belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with righteous actions. And this is also based on human psychology, right? That if there is no accountability to something, a person can do and will do whatever he wants. If everyone knows that there is a person won't be given a ticket for speeding, people will be driving like crazy over here also. But because we have this understanding that no, if I will, despite that also that happens, right? All of us, myself included. But there is still a certain level that person tries to keep to, right? Why? Because you know there is an accountability. You know there is an answer you have to give, there is a fine, etc. That you're going to have to give because of that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is also one of the hikmah, the wisdoms of a Day of Judgment, so to say, right? That how can a person just live in this world and we see so much oppression goes by unchecked, right? So much oppression happens in this world, it goes unchecked. So that in itself is a dalil. Ulama said that in itself is a proof that there has to be a day in which all of this is also taken into account for. So أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ, deen meaning the judgment, or between people. That do you not see the person who belies ad-deen, the judgment. Also another tafsir of ad-deen is how we understand the word ad-deen as religion. That do you see the person who belies ad-deen, yani Islam, the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna ad-deena inda Allah al-Islam. The only acceptable religion, way of life, in Allah, according to by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, al-Islam is Islam. So ad-deen over here can refer to al-Islam also. Mufassirun have also differed whether أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي, the one who, is it referring to a specific person or is it a general? Is it a general meaning? Yani is there a specific person? Mufassirun said that it refers to As ibn Wa'il, some say it refers to Abu Jahl, etc. Other Mufassirun said that no, even if it, for example, primarily refers to them, but there is an usul, there is a principle in tafsir, that al-ibratu li'umumi al-lafz, that consideration is given to the generality of any word or the meaning of an ayah. That though primarily sometimes there are addressees of Qur'an, of Sunnah, but that also applies to whoever also follows the same, right? So أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ, have you seen the one who belies the final judgment? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thereafter says فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُ الْيَتِيمِ. Only someone who does not believe in accountability, only someone who does not believe in accountability, can he do these following abhorred actions. فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي, this then is the one who repels the orphan, right? That one of the communal problems that was and still is, though it maybe many times gets covered up, that the orphans, the yatama are not given their haqq and their right. Why? Because yatim by definition means that the child is not mature, is not of age, and he has lost his father. That in Sharia is considered to be a yatim, an orphan. Not someone who, whilst we were studying our principle in Mishkat Kitab class, he told us that one elderly person, 60-year-old, his father passed away. So the elderly person came crying, कि हम तो यतीम बन गए, तुम यतीम हो तो सबका क्या हुआ? So he said that if the person came to him, a person of age of 60, and his father had passed away. So the person came crying to him and said, oh, I've become a yatim, I've become an orphan. So our principal joked with him, he knew him, that if you're a yatim, what the rest of the world? You're a 60-year-old and you're calling yourself yatim, orphan? So that's not considered a yatim. Yatim in Sharia means a person who is not of age, a child who is not of age, and has lost their father. That is a yatim. So because they have, apparently there is no one to really protect them, and many times it's their own family members. So you say that if someone from outside was to do it, at least the family members could help. But what happens many a times, unfortunately, which used to happen also in that society, and still happens in many other societies even till today, that because there is no one to fight for their rights, so to say, their children, so others take the right. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over here in the Quran Kareem is referring to that. فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ, that this then is the same person who repels the orphan. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has given much fadila and virtue to the person who takes care of the yatim. Just yesterday we heard, or the other day, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that أَنَا وَكَافِلُ الْيَتِيمِ كَهَاتَيْنِ فِي الْجَنَّةِ, that myself and the person who takes care of the orphan will be like this in Jannah. Yani Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam showed his two fingers. Ulama explained that the difference between this is just the daraja of nubuwah. The difference in Jannah, this will be, yes, of course, there is a difference. A person who is not a prophet will not obviously reach the same stage, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will keep him with him, yes, with this much difference between that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and us, yani the daraja, the rank of nubuwah. So because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself was also a yatim, right? He himself was an orphan. So فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ, this then is the same one who repels the orphan. وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ, and who will not urge the feeding of the indigent, yani the people who are poor. Miskin meaning poor. The same person, he does not, يَحُضُّ does not urge, yani himself nor others. وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ, that this person doesn't urge himself to feed the people who are in need, nor does he encourage or urge others to help. These ayat are referring to the necessary wajibat that are upon a person. This is something that we need to make very clear lines in between, in this and also in the final verses that are coming. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't punish, or a person is not accountable for things which are not wajib and necessary upon them. Right? What is not wajib, necessary, what is not classified as wajib, a person will not be given punishment for that, nor is there any rebuke on that person. So many a times during fundraising, many a times what happens is that certain ayat and certain hadith are mentioned which are clearly not the purport of sadaqat. Sadaqat meaning giving optional charity. Right? For example, that there is a hadith that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said that every day the malaika make an announcement that Allahumma a'ti munfiqan khalafa wa a'ti mumsikan talafa, that Ya Allah, that give the one who spends khalafa, give him a substitute for what he has spent. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the malaika, the angels make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give a substitute for the person who spends in the path of Allah. وَأَعْطِ مُمْسِكًا تَلَفًا, the one who doesn't spend, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroy that person's wealth. And many times this hadith is used by fundraisers for what? For sadaqat and optional charity. These are hadith of this nature have nothing to do with sadaqat which are optional. So where we have, yes, I hope everyone understands the correctness. So what we're saying is that yes, we do encourage towards good. And that is definite, that there is much virtue in spending in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala optionally. That's there. But to use a hadith and verses of the nature to now say, to give rebuke for those that are not giving optional, that is also incorrect. So deen is between two things. We shouldn't go towards one side also, in which we're as if we're making optional charity a necessity, right? And many times there's masjid fundraisers, they please give and donate to the masjid, and then this hadith, Allahumma a'ti munfiqan. So everyone in the audience is thinking, what? If I don't give now, there will be the bad dua, the curse of the angels upon me. Not this hadith and this bad dua, this curse is not for those people who do not, for example, give things which are optional. This has only to do with wajibat and mandatory sadaqat. So فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ, and who does not urge the feeding of the indigent. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Thereafter now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is coming to ibadah. So in this in the surah goes with aqidah. Aqidah, immediately after aqidah, mu'ashara. Right? So we say that there are ahkam of aqidah, of belief. Mu'ashara meaning society, and mu'amala meaning transactions, and of ibadat. Right? Normally we say aqidah and then ibadah. Over here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned aqidah and immediately thereafter mu'ashara over here. Mu'ashara means society, ahkam or rulings regarding the society. Why? Perhaps one hikmah in this might be that it may not occur to many of us, many a time. That yes, you understand that after aqidah, after belief comes ibadah, worship. But here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so to say, changed the order. Why? So that you also realize that after aqidah, that aqidah is also that thing which urges a person to be a proper human being also. right? It's not only that aqidah makes a person a right Muslim, but also makes a person a proper human being. That there are certain rights that, or things that a person understands, not just because he believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or that is because of by virtue of him being a Muslim, but also as a human being, certain things are very natural, or supposed to be natural to a person. That's what the fitrah is. So after Aqidah over here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions rulings regarding the society, of helping, a muashara of others, and thereafter, and another, وَلَا يَحُدُّ عَلَىٰ طَعَامِ, ta'am meaning it'am, feeding, and thereafter of ibadah. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. So woe to all those who pray, not just those who pray, but those that pray, that is, those that are unmindful about their prayers. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. That they pray, they do pray, but they are unmindful. This is referring to the munafiqun. Over here, this is referring to the munafiqun who are unmindful. Yes, if this amal, if this action of the munafiqun are found in us, this is something we should also be scared about. Right? Many hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for example, would say, the ayatul munafiq thalath. That the sign of a hypocrite are three, for example, in one hadith. That إِذَا حَدَّثَ كَذَبْ, when he speaks he lies. وَإِذَا وَعَدَ أَخْلَفْ, that when he promises he betrays that promise. وَإِذَا اؤْتُمِنَ خَانَ, when that person is given a trust, he misappropriates that trust. So these are signs or a'mal, acts of what a munafiq would do, what a hypocrite would do. So when we hear these type of hadith, we should also be very wary of this. It doesn't mean that we would say immediately that this person leaves the fold of Islam. A person doesn't leave the fold of Islam because of that, but a person should be wary that I'm not doing something that a munafiq would do, that it doesn't behoove me as a believer to do such a thing. So فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ, those that are unmindful about their prayers. And based on this ayah of the Quran, there's also the hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that تِلْكَ الصَّلَاةُ الْمُنَافِقِ تِلْكَ صَلَاةُ الْمُنَافِقِ. The three times Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that is the salah of the hypocrite. That is the salah of the hypocrite. And thereafter Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam says that he waits until the sun is about to set, referring to Asr salah. The Asr salah is one of the most important, the wasat. Still such an important salah. This person waits till the sun is almost about to set, and thereafter he gets up. فَنَقَرَهَا أَرْبَعًا. Rasulullah said he goes and he naqar means when a chicken or a hen, for example, how it picks at the ground. It picks at the ground to pick up the grain. How it picks at the ground. Rasulullah said فَنَقَرَهَا أَرْبَعًا. He goes and hits 4 sajdas like that, up and down 4 times. فَنَقَرَهَا أَرْبَعًا. Right? So referring to not having i'tidal in salah. So he's saying that is the salah of the munafiq. I'tidal means if a person waits for even one subhanallah, i'tidal is found. If a person, for example, he goes into ruku' and says subhanallah once, that i'tidal is found. So even if, for example, 3 subhanallahs are not done, which is sunnah, 3 subhanallahs is sunnah, but even if subhanallah is recited once, then i'tidal in that salah is found. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Those that are unmindful about their prayers. الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ. The only reason why these munafiqun, these hypocrites get up to pray is يُرَاءُون, to show, to only make a show of their worship. That they have to obviously come off as believers, otherwise their garb of being a hypocrite would go. So الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُون. So again, now when we hear this verse as believers, that we should also stay away from riya, to show others. That this doesn't, that a person is not praying for others. What's the point of praying? For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُون وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ. And they withhold basic aid from others. Someone asks something, can I just borrow a little bit? Can I have a little bit of salt? It doesn't behoove a believer that you hold back from this. That's why other mufassirun, they say يَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ. Ma'un referring to zakah. Why? Because zakah is something which is very little. How much zakah do we give out of all the income that we have? 2.5%. 97.5% is for a person. So in comparison to 2.5 is nothing. So the mufassirun say يَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ refers to a person, those that withhold their zakah. Others say that this refers to people who are completely and utterly bakhil and very stingy. Something small, it won't make any difference to this person if he gives it. Yet that person withholds from it. So even more the reason this person is not going to give zakah. Someone asks you something small, you can't give it, where are you going to give zakah to others? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to stay away from these type of bad habits. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله.